Hey guys, and welcome to my newest video series, the Arcade Backlog. If you're like me and you have an ever-growing list of video games that you're trying to complete, this is the series for you. This year, I hope to accomplish 3 things as a result of this series. 1. Make significant progress through my gaming backlog. 2. Introduce you guys to some great games that you might not know about. And 3. Provide some additional content to the channel outside the regular faith and gaming videos. So that being said, let's take a trip through my gaming backlog and let's take a look at the games I played in January. So I may be nearly a decade late, but at the beginning of 2024, I finally bought a PlayStation 4, the slim model to be exact. One of my goals in the new year was to start a YouTube channel all about exploring the intersection between gaming and faith, and would you look at that, here we are a little over a year later, still going strong. When I bought my first PS4 at the beginning of the year, I felt like I was finally catching up on a piece of gaming history that I had missed out on for years. Growing up, my parents were pretty cautious about letting me play violent video games, which means I never owned a PlayStation or an Xbox. I was a Nintendo gamer through and through, and you can probably tell by the majority of content on my channel. So, the 2018 hit Spiderman wasn't just my introduction to this iconic console, but also a chance to see what the PlayStation was all about. And let me tell you, after playing this game, I completely understand why people love the PlayStation. Spider-Man absolutely blew me away. The action combat is so fun, fast, and addictive, and even if you're someone who doesn't usually gravitate towards action games, I highly recommend giving this one a try. It's not just button mashing, there's tons of creativity in how you approach each fight. You can mix gadgets, web-based attacks, and use your environment to take down bad guys in ways that keeps battles fresh and engaging every single time. It's the kind of gameplay that makes you feel like Spider-Man in the truest sense. Strategic, agile, and just plain cool. And we have to talk about the web swinging mechanic. It's easily the best traversal system I've experienced in any game. The smooth, free-flowing motion of swinging through New York City is so satisfying, and I don't think I used the quick travel feature even once. I mean, why would I when swinging around the city was such a joy in itself? But this game isn't even about the flashy mechanics. It also delivers a familiar yet fresh take on Spider-Man's story. The narrative, centered on Peter Parker's relationship with Dr. Octavius and the rise of the Sinister Six, had me hooked from the beginning to end. It's emotional, gripping, and filled with twists that keep you invested in both the characters and the stakes. For someone like me who's never owned a PS4 before, Spider-Man was the perfect game to start with. It's an amazing introduction to the PlayStation's library, and now I can't wait to dive into other games that the console has to offer. And if every game is this polished and fun, I might need to make room for even more PlayStation classics in the arcade backlog. Alright, so we can be honest with each other, right guys? I'm about to say something controversial, but please just hear me out. I've never been the biggest fan of 2D Mario games, and in fact, I can't even remember the last time I finished one. Maybe it was New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii, which I genuinely enjoyed at the time, but even that feels like forever ago. I can't be the only one who remembers the dark days of the New Super Mario Bros. Era, right? Where it felt like every entry was just the same old game with the same set of paint. So for that reason and many others, the modern 2D Mario games just never did it for me the way that the 3D games do. But because I heard great things about this game, this past Christmas I asked my friend for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I gave it a shot, and wow, I'm so glad I did. This game's not just good, it's easily the best 2D Mario game in over a decade, hands down. From the moment I started playing, I was hooked. I couldn't put Wonder down for a solid 2 weeks after unwrapping it during the Christmas holiday. The charm and the energy of this game are unmatched, especially with the characters. Every aspect of the game is so expressive and full of life, making every level feel like it's its own adventure with a unique personality. While I usually stick with Luigi because let's be real, he's the superior Mario brother, the new fun designs and animations for each character actually inspired me to switch things up and try out different ones for a change. It's a small detail, but it shows how much care went into making the game feel fresh, even for longtime fans and for the ones who have been jaded like me. Every level has its own Wonderflower moment, and let me tell you, it's pure creativity at its finest. 1 second you're navigating a standard platforming level, and the next you're dodging stampedes of giant bulls or seeing the entire level transform before your eyes in some wild, unexpected ways. It kept me constantly excited to see what would happen next. The Wonderflower alone adds so much variety to the gameplay that it's hard to get bored. And then there are the secret levels. Man, these are some of the best I've played in any Mario game. One in particular stands out, a level where you're racing against the strict timer, and you have to perfectly execute wall jumps to make it to the end. That one took me days to finish, and while it was frustrating at times, it felt so rewarding to finally make it to the end. It's the kind of challenge that makes you appreciate the tight controls and the brilliant level design that Nintendo is known for. If I had one minor complaint though, it'd be the final Bowser boss. It's not bad by any means, but compared to the rest of the game, it just felt a little underwhelming. That said, it didn't take away from the overall experience. From start to finish, Super Mario Bros. Wonder delivered a level of fun and creativity that I haven't felt from a 2D Mario game in a long time. So, if you've been on the fence about 2D Mario games like I was, I can't recommend Super Mario Bros. Wonder enough. Whether you're a lapsed fan or someone who's never been drawn to this style of Mario before, this game is a must play. It reminded me why Mario is one of the most iconic franchises in gaming, and it left me genuinely excited for what's next in the series. Alright, so let me start by saying this. Persona 3 Reload is my first dive into the Persona series. I've never played Persona 4 or 5, but they are definitely on the backlog along with Reload, so subscribe for their reviews sometime down the road. But after just a couple of hours, I'm already understanding why this franchise has such a dedicated fan base. For years I've been hearing how Persona is one of the best JRPG series out there, but because I never grew up with any Sony consoles, I just never got around to playing them. So when the remake of Persona 3 was announced, I figured this was the perfect chance to finally see what all the hype was about. I mean, why not start with a fresh and modernized version of one of the most beloved entries in the series, right? That said, my first impression of Persona 3 Reload is that it's incredibly well made. The menus and the soundtrack alone should have gotten some kind of prize in the most recent Game Awards. The game has many great aspects, but in my opinion, the story starts off a bit slow. The opening hours take their time setting the stage, and while it's not necessarily a bad thing, I could see how the pacing might lose more impatient gamers, along with some of the darker imagery that the game leans into. I definitely caution against letting kids play this one, but for older players, the more mature themes and narrative depth are something you'll probably enjoy. Once the game got going, I began to see why many people rave about it. One of the standout features for me so far is the Persona system itself. The concept of summoning these different creatures to assist you in battles is not only cool, but incredibly versatile. I can already tell that experimenting with different personas and figuring out how to fuse them and build them is going to be one of the most rewarding aspects of this game. There's this sense of endless possibilities, and I can see why Persona fans have spent countless hours on the different entries to this series. The characters too are a huge highlight for me. Even though I've only scratched the surface of the story, every character feels unique and fully realized. From their personalities to their designs, it's clear that a lot of care went into making each of them stand out, and I can already see myself getting invested in their individual arcs as the story unfolds. And then there's Tartarus. I just started exploring this massive, mysterious tower, and while I'm still getting used to the gameplay loop, I can already tell it's going to be a core part of what makes Persona 3 Reload so addictive. The combat is stylish and fun, and there's this underlying tension that keeps me on my toes as I climb higher and higher. It's the kind of challenge that makes you want to keep pushing forward, even when you know you should probably call it a night. Again, with me being only a few hours in, I don't feel the most qualified to give a full verdict on the game just yet. But based on what I've experienced so far, I'm really excited to see what's next. If the rest of Persona 3 Reload continues to build on this strong foundation, I can see myself becoming a lifelong fan of the Persona series, just like many of you are, I'm sure. So, if you've been curious about the series like I was, or you're looking for a great JRPG to dive into, Persona 3 Reload might just be the perfect place to start. I'm looking forward to see where the story goes, how the characters develop, and just how deep the Persona mechanics go. If the first 2 hours give any indication, I think I'm in store for something really special. Hey there, if you're still watching at this point in the video, just wanted to say thanks. We've got one last game that I've been playing this month, and you may be surprised at my thoughts surrounding it. So keep watching to the end and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks. Let me start this review by saying I am not a fan of mobile games. If I'm being honest, I'm one of those video game purists who usually stays far away from mobile games. I remember playing Fire Emblem Heroes years ago, and while the game was fun at first, after a while I just got burned out. The constant grind to keep up with power creep made me uninstall it even after dedicating a whole bunch of time to building my units. So when Pokémon TCG Pocket was announced, I had some serious doubts. Would it be just another generic mobile game full of microtransactions and frustrations for free-to-play players? I was skeptical, to say the least. But let me tell you guys, I'm so glad I was wrong. Pokémon TCG Pocket has completely exceeded my expectations and become one of my newest favorite mobile games. This is the first virtual trading card game where I genuinely feel like I can keep up as a free-to-play player. I've been playing daily since launch, and not once have I ever felt forced to spend a dime. The game does an excellent job of balancing accessibility with rewarding gameplay. The game offers free players like me 2 free packs every single day, along with plenty more through challenges and missions. It's honestly so refreshing to play a game where you don't feel like you're constantly at a disadvantage unless you're spending real money. And what's even better is how well the game is designed to ease new players into the competitive scene. The daily challenges strike this balance between difficulty and accessibility, so even if you're brand new to the trading card game, you can still build a strong deck and start competing without feeling overwhelmed. And here's something I didn't expect. Pokémon TCG Pocket actually made me appreciate the physical card game even more. Playing Pocket has deepened my understanding of strategies and mechanics, and it's even sparked an interest in exploring the competitive TCG scene in real life. Now, I will say the reward system could use a little improvement. While the premium pass trial is a nice touch, and it's great that they let you test it out before committing, I wouldn't mind seeing slightly better rewards across the board. That said, for what it is, the premium pass is decent, and as someone who's managed to stay free to play up until now, this is the first mobile game that's actually made me consider spending real money. And that alone speaks volumes for how well designed and engaging Pokemon TCG Pocket really is. So, for anyone who's fallen off the card game in recent years or is just looking for something fun and low commitment to play on the go, this is an easy recommendation. Whether you're a longtime fan of the Pokemon trading card game or someone who's never touched it before, Pokemon TCG Pocket has something for everyone. It's accessible, fun, and most importantly, it respects your time as a player. I never thought I'd be saying this about a mobile game, but Pokemon TCG Pocket gets 2 big thumbs up from me. And if you haven't already, give the game a shot. You might just find it in your own arcade backlog.